The week has finally arrived. This week we are doing my review of the Tae Kim's Guide to Japanese Grammar. Stay tuned. So this week is a surprising shakeup, although it is still brought to you by our lovely Patreons, and I do love you guys and wish you all fat, many children with British accents. It is brought to you specifically by Erica, a member of our community. Erica happened to use the Amazon wishlist down below to basically sponsor this textbook review. She bought a couple books, sent them my way, I review them, and it allows the channel to keep making cool content and things you guys ask for while I'm not, swimming in textbook money. So thank you so much, Erica. I really appreciate you. This video goes out to you. Now there's a quick point, because the names can be a little confusing. Tae Kim essentially has two things to it. It has a complete guide to Japanese grammar and then a guide to Japanese grammar. A guide to Japanese grammar, in his own words, is a supplemental textbook of essential Japanese grammar. A complete guide is his website, and it has everything. For a little bit of comparison, I sifted through this book and highlighted anything that could possibly be on the N2 test, and there was only 6 grammar points. This is definitely not a complete grammar dictionary. So a book that thick is probably not gonna have all the Japanese grammar. However, it has a lot of what you're gonna need day to day, and I think it is worthy of its own textbook review this week. And one of the nice things about this textbook is that it's actually formatted in the exact same way as the website. So if you guys don't wanna buy this book, you could just use the website and the examples are the same, the format's the same, the vocabulary is the same. It's basically just the website printed. And I know I don't have to tell you guys this if you've been a Japanese learner for any amount of time, which you probably have to have been to found my channel, you know about Tae Kim's Guide. You probably are in some sort of textbook in class, or maybe you're self-studying and you just could not understand the way that the textbook was putting it. So you Googled that grammar and Tae Kim's came up as like a supplemental kind of check thing, or at least that's how I used it. And I think in the same way, that's how you should view this specific book, is as a supplement to a normal textbook. Because the words are not based on difficulty, it's based on the sample sentences that he uses in order to get across the grammar. They're also not technically based on any level, but they do build. So it's gonna be a little different from textbook to textbook when looking at this guide. In a nutshell, I'd say it's more detailed per grammar piece than, say, a Genki or a Mina no Nihongo or a Tobira, but it is less detailed in the precise usage of the words, as well as less detailed than, say, a Japanese grammar dictionary. It really is a middle of the road textbook, and I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. It's not organized to be a JLPT test book. It's meant for you to try and understand daily Japanese, the stuff you see written on walls, the bus schedule, kind of the context of basic conversations, advertisements, little tiny newspaper clippings. I don't think any one single source will get you reading newspapers seamlessly, let alone this particular source. But it has, the equivalent of 3 or 4 textbooks worth of grammar of other textbooks set into one. It is very detailed, and I don't think for the money, it's a bad value. Now, in these textbook reviews, I try and summarize like the amount of words or grammar you get. And it's kind of hard with this textbook. Each section has around 10 to 20 new words that you learn and that they use in the context of explaining how the grammar point is used. But I have no real way to tell if words were repeated because there's a lot of grammar to go over. It's like 260 pages. And I'm not gonna look for the same word over 260 pages to make sure things don't repeat, so I can't give you an accurate assessment of how many words you'll get out of this. But if I have to give you some advice, maybe don't use this as your sole vocabulary source. And I could tell from someone who is, I think I'm about to round 9,000 words in my Japanese SRS system. It's probably about the first 2,000 words or less. It is definitely in that range. The difficulty of word, the quality of word is all within the first 2,000, which is pretty substantial, but you can get those lists online for free. So I don't think it particularly adds to this book at all, although it does give you kind of a section by section small increase to understanding the grammar. So that's definitely a benefit, I guess. Like I said, if any of this sounds appealing, you guys can just use the website. You're not missing out on anything, but there are people, hopefully like me out there, who, especially when you first got started, I used to quit things all the time, and I didn't want to quit Japanese, so I invested in it. I put money in, and it made it so that way it was painful for me to quit because I invested a lot of money I didn't have into textbooks and time and that type of stuff, and it kind of kept me hanging in there. Plus, it's really fun to put these books on your wall after you've done reading them because it's kind of like a milestone. You could see how far you've gone from the beginner textbooks all the way to, in my case, it would be advanced textbooks and newspaper articles and whatever it happens to be. Kind of like a little language trophy. Now, there are some bads with this book. It runs at a snail's pace. Like, if one piece of grammar can be used in a couple of different ways, instead of like splitting them into sections and then putting those sections right next to each other, they're all over the place, which can be very frustrating and annoying. I would rather it be like a normal textbook that if you're gonna see a piece of grammar, they put all of the possible variants right next to each other, as long as it's not, you know, horrifically advanced or super obscure, which nothing in this book happens to be. Also, to give you kind of an example of the snail's pace, on page 160, you're still learning to count. They actually bring up like how to count, you know, the 100,000s, the millions, the billions, on page 160, and in most textbooks you learn those numbers even up to the millions and billions within the first chapter or two. So I'm trying to show you that this is very detailed, but because it is extremely detailed, it is also, in my opinion, unbelievably slow-paced. And this is coming from a Tai Kim fanboy. I love Tai Kim. I like his site. I love what he does. Hence why I put this book on my review list. But ooh, it is, especially if this is your primary grammar source, in my opinion, it's pretty slow. As a supplemental guide, it's great, because then you can just see, oh, I'm struggling with this grammar in my textbook, and then you can go in the index and see where it is and go right to that page. But if you're using this as your only version of grammar learning and consumption, yee. Although a positive, and if you guys are on any other types of Japanese learning websites, you'll see that a vast majority of them take their example sentences from Tai Kim. And there's good reason. He has very good sample sentences, and a lot of them are really good for like using, I don't even know what the real term is for it, but using it as almost like a formula. You can interchange different parts of that sentence and make it work for what situation you want, as long as you memorize how the sentence works. So if you guys are one of those die-hard, fanatic sentence miners, this is a pretty good source for example sentences, although some of them are a little weird and you might not ever need them. The other nice thing about these sentences that a lot of textbooks I think get wrong is a lot of other textbooks are trying to throw as much grammar into each new sentence example as possible as it builds. So by the end of a lot of these textbooks, you have these long, drawn out sentences that you might get lost in. Tai Kim kind of throws all that out and goes, look, we are just trying to get this grammar point in your head. So we're gonna use as few words and as few other grammar points in this sentence as possible to show you how the thing works and how you should see it work. And I really respect that. I don't think you need to learn or memorize 200 or 300 character sentences in order to get a grammar piece right. I think it is completely acceptable to have, you know, a 6 or 7 word sentence that has the thing used in context correctly, and that is more than good enough for you to get a grasp of the grammar point. So I love how Tai Kim's keeps it simple and minimalistic, and I would, if I had to sentence mine, I would use Tai Kim's over, say, a Genki textbook or a lot of the more intermediate advanced textbooks, or even a lot of the JLPT prep books, because gosh, it's almost like a pissing contest with these textbooks sometimes. So all in all, Chad, would you buy this book again? You know what? I think I would if I had the money and I already had a primary source of Japanese learning. Almost exactly what Tai Kim says about the book. Like if you're in a Japanese class, you're self-studying, maybe you're doing the AJAT, or you're in a college course, you're getting a minor in Japanese, whatever it happens to be. If you have a primary way of learning, a teacher, a support system to be able to utilize and use and output all of the stuff that you're putting in, I think this book is a super good source to have on a shelf in case you need it. But that's about it for this video. If you guys like this, be sure to like it down below. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or compliments, leave them in the comment box down below. I do read all of them. If you would like to sponsor a video much like this, all you have to do is go to the description down below. There's 2 ways to sponsor. You could be a Patreon, which I sincerely hope you would become. It helps me tremendously. The manga club is almost always full, but occasionally there's a few spots open here and there, so you guys might want to be checking out there. Secondly, there is an Amazon wishlist in the description down below that you guys can check out and maybe purchase a book for me to review and sponsor an episode with your name and your message. If you guys like this video, check out my plethora of other videos. I have over 350 videos on this channel. I'm sure some of them will help you, and if so, maybe consider subscribing, share the channel with a friend, a foe, whatever it happens to be. It would mean a tremendous amount to me personally. Also, thank you for letting me take last Saturday off. I had to take my parents to the airport. However, next Saturday, live stream. We're gonna be live streaming some type of anime. I don't know what it is yet. We will figure it out the day of. I hope I will see you guys there. Love hard, love deep, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.